Hey, welcome back to another virtual movement and mobility session with Heafner Health. And this routine, I want to give you the framework for a daily movement routine, something that you can do every morning or every evening to prime your body for the day, or even just to cool your body down at the end of the day. But to make sure you're hitting these movements will be key. It's a full body routine, and this is based off of a question that I get asked all the time, which is, what should my workouts look like every week? And that's what you see up on the screen right now. It's something that I created. It's a weekly schedule, basically, on how much you should be doing certain types of activity. What you see here is weight training 1 to 2 days a week. And that's because as we train hard with our strength training movements, our body needs several days to recover and rest afterwards. The same thing for the HIIT training, high intensity interval training. And then also, if you're doing a structured Pilates class or a structured full length yoga flexibility class, then that might not be an everyday thing, at least initially. So what I think you should be doing every day is some sort of daily movement routine that just primes your joints, your muscles in all different directions throughout the day. And that's what we're going to cover today. So this is my structure of what that weekly workout routine should look like. And let's get started with the full body routine. For today's routine, you will need the foam roller, a soft tissue ball, and then a towel, a belt, or some sort of thick band. Starting off, go into an all fours position. You can put the foam roller and the soft tissue ball aside because we won't need those for the first few movements. And the first thing I like to think about, or what's maybe most important to me at least, is how well my spine is moving. So we're going to start off with 10 to 15 cat-cows as a group. If you know it, you can go into it. If not, you can listen to the cues and join in. Start by pressing through your hands, rounding all parts of your spine, tucking your hips under, letting your head drop down. Reverse and uncurl your spine, lengthening through the back of your neck, pulling your shoulder blades down your back, drawing your core in, and then repeat with the rounding. Curling around your entire spine, pressing through your hands. Give some extra press to the fourth and fifth fingers. Uncurl the movement, reaching long to the back of your head, opening up through your chest, pulling your core in, and continue. For the next 8 repetitions or so, just go at your own pace, up and down, whatever feels good. This movement here is the first one on my daily movement routine because getting the spine moving is so foundational for how everything else in the body works. If you feel like you have trouble activating your glutes or you have pain between your shoulder blades, it's likely because the spine or different portions of the spine are not allowing that natural nerve or energetic flow towards the muscles to get things moving the way we want to. 3 more here. 2 more. Last one. And then you can get off your hands for just a second because we're going to go from a plank to down dog back and forth also 10 times as a group. When you're ready, either go into a high plank position or feel free to start on your knees if you need that variation. I'm going to do from the high plank. My feet here are about mat width apart, so a little wider than shoulder width. And then I'm going to press back into a hamstring and calf stretch known as the downward dog position. Pause here for 1 second. Return back to a plank, and that's 1 repetition. Push back again. 2, and we have 10 here together. 3, 4, keep going at your own pace now. Each time as you press back, think about sticking your hips high up in the air, letting your heels drop back, pulling your core lightly in. Keep going. We got 5 more. 3 more. 2. Last one, hold this one. Stretch out your left calf a bit more, so put extra pressure and weight into the left calf. Switch over to the right side and drop both knees down. Once again, offloading the hands. We have one more movement before we get into some of the soft tissue stuff. That next movement is a spine back bend. So a lot of what people do, they end up in a forward flex position. We're gonna work on the opposite direction. We're gonna stimulate the back side of the body through different back bending movements. Once again, go into a high plank position, and then as if you were doing a push-up, slowly lower all the way down to the ground. With your hands in that push-up position, press all the way up, letting your hips stay relaxed, drawing your core lightly in, and then reaching your head high. We'll do 10 here as a group as well, up and down. With this movement, think about it as a front-sided opening movement versus a back-sided closing. So if you're only noticing compression in your low back, what can you do to change that? Draw on your abdominals, potentially put a small towel or a pillow underneath your hips. But what I want here is improving the motion through your spine in this back bending movement without your glutes or your hamstrings and your low back seizing up because of pain or fear. Let's go 5 more. 4, 3, 2, last one. Back down, and then grab your foam roller and then go onto your right side, because the first movement with the foam roller is going to be along the outer hip all the way down along the outside of the IT band and the quad. As you're starting this out, going up and down, go at whatever pace feels good for you. Listen to your body today. We're coming off of a nice long weekend where we probably were working those muscles in different ways. So this might feel tense today, and that's okay. As you're starting this movement, I just want to talk briefly about the spine back bend. So the one we just did, a lot of people end up here throughout the workday. And what happens is we relatively each day kind of lose the ability to do that sort of back bending motion. And over time, when we lose it day after day and we're never hitting those movements, our body and our brain relatively forgets how to perform those motions. So every day, what I do is I reintroduce that movement. I make sure that I have that capacity, because then the next day when I wake up, I'll still have the capacity. But if you don't do it and you don't do it, then you're going to lose it. As I was saying, where you should all be right now is on the right side, working down along the IT band and the upper glutes. And start finding that point of tension where you want to pause and hang out for a few seconds. I did a nice long trail run yesterday, so I've got a few different points that are feeling good here today. Once you find a point of good tension, roll your body back and forth over that spot. And we're going to stay here for almost 45 seconds, just going back and forth. We're introducing movement over this, you could say, a stagnant point of tissue. And that's why it's feeling that extra amount of tension. So we're bringing more blood flow, more oxygen to that area, which will improve the overall motion there. If it feels too intense, you can use your top leg to help offload that. You can use your elbow. And then you can always just go down to a different spot and keep the same thing going there. Speaking of going to a different spot, now I want you to slide down 4 or 5 inches so you're closer to the knee, and then repeat that movement back and forth. This one feels pretty intense for me, lower to the knee. And so I'm using some of those cues that I just told you about a second ago of pushing more through my elbow. I'm offloading it through my left leg here. We still have 15 seconds here. If this feels too intense on the pressure through your arm, you can always lower your body down and then continue again. It does change the fulcrum a bit of how easy it is to move back and forth though. When you finish with the first side, when you're ready to change, go over onto your left side and continue with the movement. Once again, we're starting with that full body, or full IT band, all the way from down at the knee up to the outer hip, outer glute area. Just getting familiar with this movement. It's the first time we've been here today, and it might feel different, more intense, maybe less intense than the other side. That's where it's your job to figure out what your body's telling you and how accurate is that information. And what I mean by accurate is it's all there and it's all real information happening, but is the reason behind it the reason you think it is? Is tightness because of not enough activity, truly not enough activity? Or maybe it's not good enough diet and sleep that's causing some of these other issues. Just things to think about. When you're ready, find that point of tension, which I definitely feel, and then start rocking back and forth over it. And on this side, I'm really offloading that IT band more because it feels pretty intense. You shouldn't have bruising. You shouldn't feel more numbness and tingling or anything like that afterwards. It should feel like a good muscular sensation. We've got 5 more seconds here, and then we'll go down to our second location. Switch sides. And for 30 more seconds, go back and forth. If you have any low back tension, I recommend drawing in your abdominals as you go back and forth. And that just allows your whole body to move almost as one segment versus potentially your spine over twisting, where there's some sensitivity there that just doesn't feel very good. 5 more seconds. Whew. And after that one, I'm gladly putting the foam roller aside for a minute. Where we're going next is a pigeon stretch or an outer hip stretch. I started on my right side with the foam roller. So with this movement, I'm going into a high plank. I'm bringing my right leg up towards my right elbow and then across my body and do what's known as a pigeon stretch if you do yoga. But if not, it's an outer hip stretch here, taking up the tension there by bringing my foot and leg across. If you can see that on the camera, I'm trying to get my knee as close to 90 degrees of a knee bend as possible. But if you need to do a bigger bend, that's fine. When you're in this position, draw on your abdominals and lift through your chest. A lot of times I see people hunched over like that, and that's okay, but you'll feel a lot bigger stretch and more purposeful to the outer hip if you get up and out of it. From here, we have 15 pulses, bringing our left shoulder down towards the right knee, on and off. Each time, increasing tension in the stretch, backing away. Increase that tension, back away, on and off. Five more here. Keep going. Final 3, 2, and 1. Switch sides now, so go back to the full plank. Now I'm bringing my left leg up and over, trying to get that 90-degree bend roughly. And what I was talking about earlier, I'm bringing the shoulder towards the knee. I'm closing down the angle on the hip, which increases the stretch in the back. Flossing that movement on, and then backing away. Drawing down and in, backing away. Leading with the shoulder and the hip towards the opposite knee. 5 more here. 3, 2, last one. And then for the first time today, grab onto the soft tissue ball. We're going to be going through some spots that we've done a few times on previous videos. And the first one is generally going to be between the shoulder blade and the spine, down on the lower part of the shoulder blade or lower middle back. And then the second one, we're gonna go all the way up to the top of the shoulder today. And we're gonna do that by raising our hips up. If you're not onto your back already, go there and then start with the first position, lower on the shoulder blade area on the right side. Once you have the ball in place, just start doing some easy movements. You can draw your hips back and forth. You can reach your arm overhead, reach your arm across your body. This is kind of the playful time where you just figure out what your body needs. And everyone's needs are going to be different. So there's no, if something feels good, I want you to do that. And then I also want you to explore what doesn't feel as good. Maybe just don't hang out there as long initially. I always think it feels nice keeping my knees close together, just rocking my hips side to side. When you find an area that feels like a good spot you want to do some work into, bring your elbows right by your sides, and then you're going to let your hands drop out to the sides while pulling your abdominals in and trying to draw in that lower rib cage here. So I'm staying flat there and then reaching my hands out to the side and back in. And that's the first movement. Back and forth. Don't lose that pressure from your core as you pull your arms in and out. We have 30 more seconds here. If you want to slide up or down a little bit, you can, that's great. If you're comfortable where you're at, I would just stay there. Each time as you reach further and further out, draw your core and tuck your hips under slightly more to increase that pressure on the ball. Almost there. 3 more. 2. Last one. And now we were just on the right side, go over to the left side in that same lower spot still. So we'll hit those upper spots together in just a minute. Once again, find some easy movement, some back and forth motion. You know what movement's coming in just a minute, so if you want to start priming that movement, feel free. I like doing arm circles different directions, doing arm raises overhead. Other times I like sitting into the ball a bit and just working on my breath of deep breathing in and easy long exhales out. As I sink deeper, deep breath, and then try to melt lower into the ball. Where we're going today though is putting pressure into the ball, drawing your abdominals, slightly tuck your hips under if you need to, elbows right by your side, and then have them go out to the side as far as you can, bring it back in. 15 repetitions here. The reason I like this movement, and I want you to keep going as I'm talking, is that what I was saying earlier, where we often fall forward here, that same thing happens at the shoulders. So what we're doing now is putting pressure into the spine and then working the arms outward. That's going to help open up the shoulders while get that middle back maintaining length and some core activation. So we're hitting multiple things with this one movement. 3 more. Final 2. Last one. We just did the left and right lower shoulder blade area. So now we're going to go all the way up on top of our shoulders into what's known as the upper trapezius muscle. But to do that, you need both the foam roller and the ball. So I'm bringing the foam roller right at the base of my hips, and then the ball is going to go to the very top of the shoulders. And the purpose of the foam roller is to simply just act as a lever or a fulcrum to like pop your hips up, so it puts more pressure right along that ball. From here, tuck your chin in, and then keeping pressure into the ball, look left and right, just alternating that movement. Start with small neck rolls, back and forth. And then with each one, start to make the movement a little bit bigger until you're doing a full neck rotation as much as you can left and right. Always feel free to change the position of the foam roller if you need to get your hips up. If you want to make it more challenging on yourself, you can push the foam roller aside and just hold that up, tucking your hips under and doing a bridge movement. Personally, I really like to focus on my neck, the motion happening in my neck here. So I like to keep some, I don't want to work too hard for my hips and glutes, so I'm letting that area relax. We've got 3 more to the right and 3 more to the left, all the way back and forth. 2 more. Last one. And then switch sides. So now the ball is all the way up on the left side of my upper trapezius. And so just to reiterate, that is right up at the top of my shoulder here. That muscle runs from the top of your neck down and over onto your shoulder blade. So we're just working along the different points of that muscle. If you feel like you need to go an inch higher, an inch lower, more to the inside or outside, do what you need to do. If you haven't started already, I want you to get into that side to side neck rotations, looking all the way to the left, all the way to the right. Gradually getting bigger and bigger with each rotation of the neck that you do. On my right side, about halfway through the neck rotations, I lowered the ball down about an inch onto my spine, and it was a bit more intense. And so I left it there and then continued. You've probably heard me say several times, do what your body is telling you to do. This is another perfect example. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. We're going to hold tension in different spots for different reasons. So find what works well for you. 3 more, all the way to the right and all the way to the left, as far as you can. 2 more. Last one. And then put the foam roller and the ball aside for our next movement. And this is one where I want you to, we're going to use that towel or belt or strong band that I asked you to grab at the beginning. With this motion, draw on your abdominals and then reach your arms all the way up overhead as far back as you can, and then back down. We just loosened up the neck and middle back, and now we're maximizing our shoulder motion, which really complements the middle back movement. You're just going back and forth as far as you can, trying to get somewhat of a shoulder stretch in the front. Potentially you're feeling this in the back sides of your shoulders as you go all the way back. Keep rocking on and off. As you get all the way overhead, pull your core in to make sure that you're not just dropping back through your spine. It should be a controlled movement. We've got 5 more here. 4, I'm maintaining pressure, pulling each side of the towel or the belt throughout the entire movement. 2 more. Last one. And then put the belt or towel aside, whatever you're using. We just have 1 more big movement today. With that, grab onto the soft tissue ball. You're going to bring it underneath your right calf, and we're going to work along the calf muscle from the back side of the knee all the way down to the heel. If you don't have the ball with you today for some reason, you can always do this with the foam roller. So there's a few movements today, like the back bends, the press up movement that we're doing, and then this one, and then the one for the IT band, which all require a good amount of shoulder support or use of the shoulders. If you're having any shoulder issues, you can always offload your arms by just bringing the spot, like the ball, over that spot of your leg. The issue is that we lose some of the ability to roll back and forth over that spot. Something is better than nothing, but if your shoulders and arms feel good, I like using my upper body to help complement the movement. Start searching for that point of tension. It might be higher, it might be lower. Just find the spot that feels good. And when you're on that spot, we're gonna do 10 circles clockwise and then 10 counterclockwise. I am gonna start by going in a counterclockwise direction, but it really doesn't matter because we're gonna be hitting both of them. Those are big circles all the way through your foot, pulling the toes up, around, and back down. We have 5 more with this first direction. 4, 3, pull your toes down, really curl on the second to last one. And then last one, pull your toes all the way up, slowly bring it back around, and then switch sides, switch directions. So now we have 10 more circles the opposite direction through the foot and ankle. Five more. 4, 3, last 2, final one, and then switch sides. Once again, we're going to start off with the general movement all the way along the calf muscle. Prop up onto your hands. I like to use my opposite foot as that kickstand to help me rock back and forth. And then take the ball all the way along the back side of the calf, almost from up at your knee, all the way down to your heel. Since we're doing this as a general routine, I want you to go more towards the inside or outside of your calf as desired by you. So if it feels better to hit the outside a bit more, that's great. If you're staying on the inside, that is fine too. Once you found that point of tension, put pressure into the ball, and then we have 10 circles each way. 1, 2, 3. Maybe you're getting some clicking and popping in your ankles and your toes. That's all okay. It's just a sign that we're bringing movement through those different areas. 5 more. 4, 3. Last one. Switch directions. We have 10 circles the opposite way. 5 more here. For the last 5, I'm going to bring my opposite leg over on top of the ball to increase the pressure. 3, 2, last one. And we are done for the day. So that is a full body daily movement routine. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this is something that would be great to do every morning if you're cooling down towards the end of the day. I mean, either way, it hits all the major joints in the body, and it focuses both on flexibility and stability. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.